Don't forget to visit the reciprocity wall below this conference hall and post what you need help with. Take a photo of and post it so you can help and collaborate with people. Our next session is another fireside chat, this time on mindsets, motivations, and management on innovation and technological changes. May I now call on our panelists to come up on stage as their names are called. Ms. MICAH del Carmen, President of NOAHSYS Corporation. Ms. CHEZKA Gonzales, Airbus A320 pilot and President of Philippine Blockchain Technologies, Inc. Mr. E.R. ROLLAN, Co-founder and CEO of Growsari. Mr. Steve C., founder and CEO of Great Deals E-commerce Corporation. And now, may I call on our moderator for this fireside chat, the President and CEO of Dubai-based New Perspective Marketing International, Inc. Please welcome Dr. Karen REMO. For the in-person attendees, there are microphones on the floor for your questions. Please be brief. Please refrain from making a speech. Please wait to acknowledge before your questions. For our online participants, post your questions in the applicable comments section of Facebook or YouTube. Take it away, Karen.
This is a suspense. Well, thank you very much. It's intentional, so everybody's now looking at all of us for this afternoon. Well, good afternoon to all of you. The pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, has driven a big boost in the techno space. As we've seen, it's like everybody is crazy to raise funds to actually invest in techno companies. However, what we've seen as the boom over the last 2 years, I think we're seeing a softening of the market, and we're seeing like techno busts in the face of high inflation, high interest rates, strengthening of the dollar, and the peso weakening. And we've seen just a couple of days ago, and you've seen this, Twitter has announced it will be slashing half of its workforce. Meta, 10% of its workforce. Shopify, 10%. We also have got in the Philippines, for example, the e-commerce site that I always use to send lunch to my daughter, Food Panda, is slashing on the 20% level, as well as Shopee, which she uses to send her gifts to her friends, by high teens. What is happening right now? So this is a very challenging and interesting times for all of us here at MAP Next Gen CEO. So we're very glad to be joined in by our experts. My name is Dr. Karen REMO, Dubai-based media tech and marketing executive, New Perspective Media Group, and we have here New Perspective Marketing International. So we have here fascinating experts who will shed the light for us to know, both for the baby boomers, the Gen Z, all generations, to find out what's in it for us. Now, because this is a techno space, I'd like to tackle and understand each of our participants' business, and we're going to give them, a surprise, an elevator pitch. Why? Because 30 seconds is only all it takes to actually grab your attention. After 30 seconds, your minds wander. So assuming you're now facing a pool of investors in here, willing to give you billions, and all their smartphones are ready now. We're now giving you 60 seconds to do your elevator pitch. What do you do and what do you provide? Maybe let's start with, I think ER is very ready.
Good afternoon. My name is ER. Okay, 60 seconds. I'm one of the founders and CEO of Growsari. So the way to think about what we do in Growsari is that you'll be surprised that in 2022, over 80% of Filipinos are still within 1 to 2 blocks away from a sari-sari store. And the race towards reaching the consumer, we think is probably most efficiently done through these informal networks. So our goal in Growsari is to imagine what sari-sari stores 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now could look like in terms of being more than just a product reseller to their community and help them through digitization and inclusion. Yeah.
So we are digitalizing the sari-sari store. Thank you very much, ER, for that. So probably Steve, because it's very much related to e-commerce.
So, happy 11/11 to everyone. So, alam niyo na, add to cart. Today is the biggest day for e-commerce. So, what does Great Deals do? So, we're an e-commerce enabler. So, if you ever bought any of the products in Lazada, Shopee, of Nestle, Unilever, P&G, Abbott, San Miguel, technically you're buying from us. So, we're an e-commerce solution provider. To be more specific, we're an online distributor and online retailer rolled into one. Yun. So, add to cart na.
So later we'll find out more about how Hugh started from virgin coconut oil and selling power banks, now selling branded items, but tune in lang po on our channel here at SGV MAP, third MAP Next Gen Conference 2022. So now let's hear from CHEZKA.
Hi everyone, I'm CHEZKA. Philippine Blockchain Technologies Inc. is actually an events organizing company, and also we are holding the Philippine Blockchain Week, and I think this is an opportunity for more Filipinos to know more about the blockchain technology and at the same time bring experts and companies from other countries to the Philippines and give jobs and opportunities to Filipinos. And I think that is our goal for this event and most of our events and the adoption of blockchain technology, mass adoption actually in the Philippines. So yeah, to give jobs and opportunities to Filipinos. So.
Okay, so CHEZKA was a nursing graduate who actually became a pilot now in NFT space. So we'll find out how you in any generation from baby boomers to Gen Z can actually be into this space later on. Yes, of course, MICAH.
Yeah, so NOAHSYS is actually the international arm of NOAA Business Applications. So it was started by my parents. So we're already operating for 20 years. So what we do is we distribute, implement, market, sell, and develop business applications from financials, financial consolidation, HR management, procurement management, distribution, production, warehousing. We actually have 16, so let me go through the list. Production, manufacturing, loan management, banking. We also have our real estate, so real estate, project management, and customer relations management. And we also have our artificial intelligence, which includes mobility, IoT, analytics, reporting, and dashboard, and data management.
Wow, very, very interesting. Now let's go on to what we were talking earlier about the layoffs. Because we have to face the reality. Yes, we have seen optimism in the market, but we have to face the challenges head on. My question is to Steve and to ER, especially on the e-commerce side. How many people do you have right now? And what's your outlook if people are cutting jobs? They are correcting the salaries and they're actually freezing the hiring. Is it something that you're looking at in your company?
Let me go first. Okay. So, basically, most of the, of course, when media always highlight all of the bad things, right? Because it sells. No, but for us here in the Philippines, I think, especially for Great Deals, we're still open, we're still hiring, and we're still continue to grow. I think there's a different kind. I totally believe that the Philippines economy is very resilient. Whoever is our president, continue on lang ang Pilipinas, no? So basically, we're still in a very nascent stage, especially on the e-commerce side. So in terms of, let's say, valuations of companies, hindi pa umabot yung Pilipinas ng mga high valuations that were given to most of the Western countries. That's why in terms of impact for us, we're not yet, it's going to be a little bit delayed in terms of in terms of funds drying up. I think because this is a very good time for the Philippines in the next 3 years to really digitalize. And what I could say is, for companies that has sustainable business model, you will be able to, yung mga, let's say, sinasabi natin, mga companies that are always looking just for fundraising, if they don't survive, the stronger, the fitter companies will have a bigger and better opportunity in the coming years. Yeah.
Okay, survival of the fittest. ER, in your but hang on before that. So Steve, how many people do you have right now?
So for 11-11, we're 2,000. But after 11-11, we'll go back to 500, mga ganyan.
Okay, and you said you're still growing your hiring. By how much percent for next year?
Yeah, we're still, I think at least 20% pa. Yeah.
Wow, that's really a showmanship of growth in the Philippine scenario. Yes, ER.
I think, firstly, no one really likes this layoff thing that's happening, right? I think even the business owners and some of the startup founders are very good friends of ours. And it's a very difficult situation for everyone. However, since we're talking about transformation shifts, we talked a lot about that today, I do feel that it's part of being agile. No one likes it, but it's part of how a company adapts. Some of these layoffs, I believe, are part of some of the slack or investment that the company is doing to either accelerate a capability or enter a particular market segment. And if times are tough, you just have to prioritize, right? And I think that's where most of these cuts are coming from. In Growsari, we have about 1,500 people in the company. And I think and thankfully we are still in a position where we're hiring, like Steve. We're in a segment that's growing. But I think what would be good for companies to think about is to every quarter evaluate the level of slack they have. It's good to have a healthy level of slack, but you should also continuously cut slack. And not just do it one time, big time, right? Because what happens is when the market crashes, you suddenly have to let go of like a quarter of your workforce. But if you're like constantly revisiting your org structure, reshaping it, hopefully along the way you're cutting, and then you're still adding along the capabilities that you'd like to have. But that's incredibly tough to predict. But I think it's just kind of a mindset.
So you mentioned you've got 1,500 people right now, and I understand that you had seed funding of $110 million.
4 rounds of funding naman.
Okay, yes. All right. So are you, and then of course, Steve here said that it's not drying up here, so we still have firepower in the Philippines. So are you going to go for new funding soon?
I think, with all due respect to our VC friends, they need to value the Philippine ecosystem fairly, right? So to some of us who still have some runway, we are also waiting for the right partner. So of course, we're not yet profitable, so we will have to raise money. But I do believe that the Philippines is still in a growth trajectory, and there's no reason to shortchange company valuation if you really believe that you're doing the right thing.
Okay, so from 1,500, you're looking at how much percentage increase by next year?
If things if things continue to do well and hopefully the macroeconomic follows, hopefully maybe 5,000 people over the next 2 years.
Wow. So growing from 1,500 to 5,000. Okay, 2 years. Now, this is very interesting because everybody can actually be part of this growing techno space. And why is that? Because we are a Dubai-based marketing agency, and I'm just speaking to 2 companies, or actually a group of venture capitalists, and they're looking at the Philippines right now because they think that it's underserved and there's a lot of opportunities. And one of the people here who has been frequenting Dubai is CHEZKA. So CHEZKA, because CHEZKA, you're from the aviation, we work closely with Emirates Airline, and they are now working with the metaverse. Currently, Emirates Airline has 16,000 cabin crew. So instead of doing the manual training of cabin crew, they're doing it, and they're going to do it in metaverse, especially since they're increasing it from 16,000 people to 20,000 in the next few months. Can you tell us, how are we connecting it with NFTs, metaverse in your space?
Okay, so metaverse is actually really the future. We might not acknowledge it right now, but definitely, I'm gonna give you a short story. I went to Tony Fernandez recently, and then I said hi to him. Instead of asking me to become a pilot, he asked me to partner with him with metaverse and NFTs, which is super. I did not expect that answer because he knows that the airline is not yet that much okay. But I can say that this is definitely something that we need to adapt. Something that, blockchain technology, metaverse, just a sample also that this event that we're holding, a lot of VCs are coming. Their appetite for, the risk appetite is really high, and they really want to come here because they know that Filipinos, as you said, that they're underserved, and we have a lot of talented Filipinos, but then there's no funding, and they really want to fly in here just to, to check how Filipinos projects. And
Sorry, CHEZKA, for the benefit of those people who are here in the audience and live there watching us, could you explain simply what is a metaverse and what's an NFT?
Okay, an NFT is a non-fungible token. So a non-fungible token is like simply just imagine that it's a picture. Technically, it's a JPEG, but then it is in the blockchain. It is embedded in the blockchain technology, which is you cannot erase it. So it's unique, and it's in the blockchain technology. So that's NFT. And for the metaverse, it's like another world, like the Earth, but in another world, in the digital world. So I can cite you a sample. Like for example, Nike has their rubber shoes in the real world, and then they have a picture of that. Rubber shoes in the metaverse, and they can also sell that in the metaverse. It's mind-blowing. Actually, when I first heard about it, I did not. It's like Roblox. If your kids play Roblox, that's literally it, but it has the real money in it. So,
CHEZKA, if MAP will actually launch a wonderful eco bag, it says MAP support the future of the generation, so something like support the future and supporting the next generation leaders. Can we create an NFT and then sell it on Metaverse?
yes. So NFTs are actually just a picture or a symbol, but you can have real life utilities in it. So for example, just like our event, we have an NFT and that's our ticket. So it's like the airline ticket or just a normal ticket, and that's your like proof of attendance. But at the same time, it also gives it's like a concert ticket that you bought during the 1980s, and then you treasured it, and it's like you can put it in a museum of some sort, and then it adds value every year that it has. It adds up. So basically, it's one of value that Web2 companies has, and you can just anybody can actually do an NFT and give real life utility values for it.
Before I move on to MICAH, CHEZKA, one more question. How much is a Reebok or Nike shoes in real, actual value? And how much is an NFT Reebok or Nike? A picture of it.
This is amazing. So for example, here in the real world, it's for example 10,000 pesos. In the NFT world, you can purchase it at like 100,000 pesos. Just because of a limited edition something, and then because someone signed it, for example, LeBron James signed it. So it's mind-blowing. Like, it's a new world.
So yes, so as you can see, a new world is being created, and it's being created right now. And it's like a parallel universe that we're actually seeing right now. Of course, we now have MICAH. MICAH is now in the second generation of the management. Isn't it right, MICAH?
Yeah, so I'm the second generation. So again, my parents started the business around 2002. I was around 6 years old. So right now, I work on our HR and marketing departments locally, and I'm spearheading the international efforts.
Okay, so as you can see, so the first 3 speakers, they are just recently launched, if you may say. So this is now the second generation. So I have a question for you, MICAH, with regard to when the Philippines is now being looked as a talent pool. So are you exporting your skill set, your resources outside the Philippines?
Yeah, so in 2019, we actually had the opportunity to export our software to the US. So our client there is one of the biggest distributor and manufacturers of first aid kits. So you can see their products in Target, in Walmart. So we provide their manufacturing, financial, and the rest of their back-end processes.
Okay, so what are the different innovations that you're doing now as a second generation manager?
So, sorry, baby boomers, but I come from the generation that we saw the first wave of Facebook, and now we're understanding the algorithm of TikTok and YouTube, and now it's Be Real, if you guys are familiar. So I brought that technology and the knowledge of social media to our company. So before, we didn't have any social media pages or photos or videos online. So we really relied, or my parents really relied on word of mouth and referrals. So when I came into the business, I really pushed that we will have a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page, and we created content calendars. And because of that, we were able to make several sales conversion. And we're actually now preparing for next year to have a TikTok, just so we can also educate the next generation about ERP and how they can help us grow the industry here.
Okay, that's very true. In a recent survey, recent report, do you know that Google has been overtaken as a search engine? Guess by what? TikTok. TikTok was overtaken and has overtaken Google as far as the Gen Z and the millennials are concerned. So whoever is not there on TikTok, let's talk. let's start making your TikToks for now. Now, speaking of talent who will be doing your TikTok videos, there is high attrition in your space right now. However, on the other hand, on the other side of the equation, we also see salary corrections because a lot of the it's just like stock market, there will be correction. So how do you address the attrition when there's poaching everywhere? Steve, because your 11-11 thing.
So I think it's part, because in terms of a new industry, right? For us, like what MICAH has shared, we always look for digital natives, people that learn how to swipe first before they talk. No, so that's the typical generation that we're really looking for and working with. No, I always tell my managers that are a little bit of age, you don't ask your people to speak to you because they'll just message you, and it's part of life in terms of working with Gen Zs and millennials. No? So in terms of, I think the different thing is for Gen Zs, it's not just all about money. They need to have corporate, corporate social responsibility, the culture. We're on a hybrid setup, and typically the new generation, the new there's so much opportunity online that you need to stay competitive and agile, that you need to have a setup that you can create your culture, but also give them the freedom to work from wherever they want. And I think those are key things that the new, talent that we're looking for, that has, ang mas value nila, compared before, nung time natin, we value, kailangan ko magkaroon ng bagong kotse, di ba? And right now, there's Grab, Angka, so nobody wants to really drive on the traffic, and people would rather go traveling than, pre-pandemic, what do you prefer, more leaves or HMO? Most of my people said more leaves for them to have memorable trips. No? So those are some of the things that we incorporate in our company so that we tackle, poaching, pirating of people and nutritions.
Thank you, Steve. It's very interesting for me because recently we're growing our Manila office. So from the Middle East and Asia side, working from home didn't really, it only happened for like 2 months during the pandemic. In the Philippines, like work from home setup has been here for, I think, years, as mentioned by David Licho, by almost 30 months. So people are used to that idea. And so when we're hiring people, they wanted a hybrid setup, which is new for our HR. So our international HR is saying the Philippine market is very different and very difficult. And at the same time, I made a talk for SGV recently for the conference planning, and I made some conversation with them. And really, hybrid setup is now necessary. And not only that, you have to be creative, because when our HR started to talk to Filipinos, they've learned a couple of things. They're asking for breakup leaves. Did you hear of that? Oh, see, people know about breakup leaves. I've never heard of that in my life. Because And of course, you've mentioned like hybrid setup. What are the other perks that you're giving now, ER?
I think for us, similar to Steve, you have to adapt, no? I think first and foremost, on this idea of poaching and attrition, the most important thing a company should do is to clarify their employee value proposition. Because you cannot be able to please all, you won't be able to please all employees. And they're also in different stages of their lives. So the goal is to keep the people that is aligned with your values and who you really need at that point in time. So sometimes, an employee will be poached by a different company and will double the salary. You have to have a strategy on whether you will respond or you'll be okay with it. So I guess linked to that, the second thing that you need to do is probably create a strong people development program and really have upskilling, in-house upskilling projects so that you're building capabilities in-house. And then thirdly, like you said, I think for us in Growsari, what we're trying to do is to decentralize HR. Because if you try and say there's one chief people officer and all the policies are centralized, you miss out on nuances that maybe younger teams want different sort of... this is the first time I'm hearing about breakup leaves. It's interesting. Or other teams that may have a completely different life stage, right? We have teams where every single one of them are moms and they have completely different needs versus those who are single. And so we let the managers define their HR strategy. Well, of course, keeping to a certain set of values.
Sure. We're talking about HR because the heart of innovation and the heart of technology is people, and that's also part of our conversation today. MICAH, you're very young, you're a lady. Okay. Do you feel like some people cannot really obey you or like would show some kind of resistance because of the age factor?
Not really. So in our company, we're very blessed that we treat each other with knowledge sharing. It's actually one of our steps in the implementation methodology of NOAH. So internally, we have knowledge sharing. So no matter if you're an intern, we actually have around 40 interns now from different schools. So we get their ideas and then we also share our ideas. So again, from our generation, like the borderline of millennial and Gen Z, we saw the work ethic of the baby boomers, the older generation, but we also understand like breakup leave. Sa amin tagged siya as bereavement leave, so they can use that. There are things like that we have to have a balance with. And another thing is we really value our spiritual life. So in our company, NOAH, so we have fear of our Lord, and that was the number one thing that our management really tried to instill. So we have daily devotionals every day, 8 a.m. or 6 p.m., and we also have community prayer every Monday. So we believe that our faith and the work of our hearts and minds will really push us to greater heights. So I think the traditional values of pag-aalaga, being Filipino, still needs to be there so that we can respect each other no matter what generation we're from.
That's very nice. You've got the spiritual growth as well. A bit of, I just would like to share this, because I also wanted to impart spirituality in Dubai. And I had an issue because we had 200 nationalities out there. And in our company, so we had around 22 beliefs. So I was doing a Bible study on the side this couple of years ago, and I had bad reviews from other groups. Definitely it will work in like a dominant Catholic nation, like in the Philippines. It did not work for me. So I guess it really is depending on how, really you have to be, as the word was coming up here, you have to adapt on the culture that you have, on the people that you have. For CHEZKA, you have stopped traveling, you have stopped flying, and you have opted to do the NFT business. Is it something that is profitable?
Okay. First of all, I did not choose not to be in the airline. I was retrenched. So I was retrenched during the pandemic. So I had, I chose businesses and tried other businesses, but I think this is where I found my jam. So NFTs is actually profitable in terms of, as I told you, the real life utilities. So yes, but it's just one avenue it's not the main one. So it's more of like, it's a side business technically. So NFT is just a bridge to another business. So it's not the main one. My main company is the Philippine Blockchain Technologies. It's where we want to do more events and more blockchain adoption so that Filipinos can actually understand what this technology can bring to them. And this is actually what's profitable. So NFT is just a side hustle for that.
Thank you. Now, there are many of us here who would like to learn from you on how we could start our own, how we could set up our new division, our new businesses, for example, and how we can grow the company leveraging on technology, on e-commerce. I think everybody here wants to be part of the techno space. It is the way to go. I would like to personally thank SGV MAP because as part of the first gen program, so I myself, we have launched 2 fintech and media tech just a couple of days ago at the Philippine Property Investment Exhibition. And so far, we have seen incredible demand for the foreclosed property called Remata and a financial literacy app called Pisopal. However, profitability is the big issue here because you want to create lots of growth and everybody wants now from top line, everybody's looking at bottom line today. How do you do that when everybody's asking for market share and you're struggling to actually get the bottom line out there? So I think Steve and ER could start with this.
I think from the beginning, even if you're a startup, you should not look at only one dimension, right? Because the drug is fundraising. It's really the drug, right, that drove us to somehow where we are today. And because people think that fundraising is the end state, typically, and in the past, valuations were driven based on speed of top-line growth. That became the narrative of the entire industry. But that's dangerous because while that's important, I think it should always be executing a business model or a sustainable business model or pivoting towards a sustainable business model. So if you're in that trade-off has to be dealt with even from day one. And if there's no path to that, then I think there's no business.
When did you start ER, your business?
2016.
When do you plan to be profitable?
I want to be profitable as soon as possible.
Do you have something that you tell your investors that I'm going to be profitable by X?
Because
year?
it's not about not being profitable or being profitable, right? It's about what do you want to accomplish this year. For example, you can be profitable now, but you can grow like at a much slower pace. And if the market is really hot, the investors might say an international company might come in. And so what is more expensive? Is it more expensive to burn the cash now and protect the market leadership, or be profitable now and have a war chest when that happens? There's no right or wrong answer. But it's in that discussion that you're very clear what you're trying to do with the money.
Okay, so it's a trade-off that we have to win. For Steve, when did you start and when are you going to be profitable? If you're like profitable, please let us know when.
So we're already profitable. By God's grace. So, but I just like to share, I think, 2 mindset of founders. There are founders that are built to sell, and there are founders that would like to build to last. And typically when you do those decision makings that you want for your company, like for me, I hate burning money in that sense because I'm giving that responsibility to be a good steward of whoever investors or whoever people that have, believe in the business model that we have set up. So for me, that's how I look, every decision that I make, of course, you want to grow as fast as we could and have, good market share leadership in being the leader in the market. No? But also for me, it needs to be sustainable. So we're always balancing it. I think yun yung pinaka-importante is how do you view the mindset that you need to have. So I'm not gonna risk like just for growth, then I'll lose a lot of money. I rather tell us how do we, continue to grow and be one of the fastest growing companies at the same time. Our bottom line is at least we're not, we're cash flow positive at least, so that whenever rainy days come, we're always prepared because we never know when the rain will come. But we are sure that rain will come. That's why we need to always prepare for that.
Okay, to prepare us for the rainy season, last question. What is that one trend we have to watch out for 2023? Micah, let's start with you for the final question.
Trends like technological trends.
Yes,
social
anything that we should be
media
aware of in your
trends.
space. Yeah.
I think now, since we're in a lot of industries like real estate, we're also in manufacturing. So I guess for our company, we're going to stick to what we know, which is we create our systems through the business rules. So we can really adapt to any of the industries, whatever innovation that we will have. And we are ready to innovate with them. So whatever trend that there will be, I think NOAH business applications will be ready to adapt.
Okay, thank you, Micah. CHEZKA?
For me, it's really the metaverse and the NFTs. Maybe not this year, maybe after 5 years or so, but you need to at least know the basics so that you will be prepared for the adoption of blockchain technology.
Okay, thank you. ER.
Mahirap yung tanong but I think Philippines as a market will continue to trend up, I believe. So many businesses and industries will flourish. It's a question of how we execute on the vision.
Thank you. Thank you, ER.
In terms
Steve?
of consumer trend, we're seeing a shift from social platform to interest platform. That's why TikTok is really growing. And we need to understand where our consumers, behavior changes. So vital that's why there's a lot of content creators, there's a lot of gig economy right now because of these new consumer trends that's coming for 2023.
We have 4 top tips. Stick what we know. Know the basics of metaverse and NFT. The Philippines will grow, so you better know how to execute your vision well. And of course, from Steve, you should learn the customer behavior changes and give the product that your customers want. Thank you very much to our wonderful panel. They cut me off. Bye.
A round of applause, please, for Ms. Del Carmen, Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Rollan, Mr. C, and Dr. Remo. Once again, don't forget to visit the reciprocity wall below this conference hall and post what you need help with, and take a photo of post-its of people you can help and collaborate with.